April, I wasn't going to start yet.
Oh.
Hang on. I gotta... Confidentiality, it's videotape and whatever. We've done this.
You've done confidentiality.
You know what? We've come
Just
full
take it
circle
really slow.
because
We
you
started.
were my yes.
We were like
that was a
sweating.
solid.
We were like, good. This is on video, so you can say this.
Not too nervous about this. I'm gonna take this nice and relaxed.
That's how I feel. I'm just
Be like, hey.
so I just want to make sure that you understand this.
Are you
So we're gonna
feeling
spend 10
comfortable?
minutes.
I want to make sure you feel comfortable.
Thank you.
Yes.
I really appreciate that.
I'm gonna say that like 800 times. And then you
Do
just
you fully understand?
I'm just gonna cut you off. Do you fully understand the consent form you just signed?
You know what? Go over
Carry
it
on.
again. Go over it one more.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Okay.
Yes. Ramble, you do you. You and Evan are cute. Look at you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. He's the best. So let me know.
It's my starting line.
At 1 minute.
Do I?
You have a
Oh,
you have a timer.
wait,
right
I have
there.
a timer on there. Why don't we just start it?
What? I mean, no.
But then I have to look. Is that rude if I look
Camera?
at my...
I don't know. Is it worse if you're looking? Like,
Oh, I'll
is
look
this
at the
better?
phone too.
Screen's so dirty. Okay, just let me know where you want it. Here?
Yeah, we'll go there because then I can kind of see it without being like...
Okay. So just let me know when you want me to start.
Just kidding. All right, let's do this. I edit well now.
Okay.
Hi, Fernanda.
Hello, Hannah.
Thank you for coming in to talk with me today.
You're welcome.
Before we jump into things, I'm just going to go over some consent with you, just so you kind of know what's going on before we
Okay.
start to talk. First thing is, I am a student practicing school psychology interview techniques for my clinical and diagnostics class with Professor Keller. So I can't offer you legal confidentiality since I am just a student. But everything that you say in this session will remain confidential between us and just a few other peers in my class who will be reviewing this.
Okay.
Unless you mention anything like harming yourself or others, any child abuse or neglect, those are things that I have to report. But anything else will remain confidential just here. No one else will hear about it. As you've noticed, this interview is being recorded. Just for my learning, it's so I can look back and learn from what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. The only other people that will see this are, again, a few peers who will be reviewing me and my professor. If you become uncomfortable with the recording at any time, we can stop and shut it off. And then, like I said before, this isn't an actual therapy session. Since I am just a student, it's just practice counseling for me.
Okay.
So at the end, I'll probably ask you some feedback so I can learn. But other than that, that's all of the consent. So do you have any questions for me, or does it sound good?
No, yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So I guess here's a pen for you to sign.
The date is...
It is the 27th.
27th.
Yep. All right. So what would you like to talk about today?
So currently I am a substitute teacher in a suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
And I have been subbing now, so I started in the fall, so since August of this year. And I'm mostly working at the 3 preschool buildings in the district, although I've also worked at the elementary level. So I've become pretty familiar with some classes, just being there and like, you know the students and you know the routines and stuff. And there's been one class in particular that I've, I'm going to say it has been more challenging than other classes. So for most of the preschool program, kids have to qualify to be in preschool.
Okay.
So either like family factors, respecters, or like developmental disabilities.
Okay.
So a lot of the kids that we see at that age are not at the typical level in like speech or in like play skills or social skills, things like that.
Okay.
So overall, it's more challenging than like a regular preschool class.
Right.
Because most of the kids, like I said, aren't at the typical level that you would expect them to be at. And then because of that, we also have kids that come in like middle of the year. So once they turn 3, they can qualify to be in our program.
Okay.
And so throughout the year, you'll get kids that are brand new. And so you're constantly having like a class that's changing and having to adjust to like all the individual students.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a kid that started last month, like mid-October, and he was kind of having a rough time at first. Just getting him off the bus was difficult. It was his first time at school, like a new place and stuff. So they managed to like get him more comfortable. He was getting off the bus by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then about like 2 weeks ago, we went, it was like dismissal time. All the kids are getting ready. They're putting their stuff away in their backpacks and getting their coats and backpacks on.
Mm-hmm.
And he refused. He was just like not wanting anything to do with it. He was just like bawling, like in the corner, pulling away from everyone, like pulling away from the teachers that he's been with, for like a month now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was there and I was like, well, maybe like someone new might like be able to figure out kind of what's going on. Like, what's the issue? Is it a like safety concern? You don't want to send a kid home if they're like scared of being home. So that was kind of difficult, just kind of like being an outsider, like not always being there daily. And so I was like trying to figure out from the other teachers, like, is this typical? Does this happen every day? Like, does he get better? Do you guys like use something like a toy or something to convince him to get on the bus? So we ended up, the bus like couldn't wait. They had to leave after like waiting for 5 minutes. And we called his dad. So then his dad came and picked him up that day, and then it was the weekend, and the following week he kept doing that. So he did that for like 3 more days is what I heard. And I was back in the class, and it got to the point where we were like, he now knows if he doesn't get on the bus, if he cries and refuses, that he's like, dad's gonna come and pick him up. So we were like kind of struggling with, well, we can't make the bus wait because that's not fair to all the other kids and all the other families that are like on a schedule for like, when they're picking up their kids.
Exactly.
But we also can't, like, he obviously can't stay there all night.
Right.
We can't just be like, okay, goodbye, like, you tried.
Stay here.
So we were kind of in this dilemma of like, we need to problem solve because this can't, he now knows the pattern.
Yes.
So it's kind of difficult being there not like consistently and also like trying to like problem solve and like understanding like school and classroom policies of like he's not unsafe to himself or others, so you don't want to like force him to put his backpack on and he's like crying and like to the point where he's like bright red and like you feel bad, you don't want to make it worse, but also like he just needs to get on the bus at some point, and you don't want it to be like end of the school year in May and dad has come and picked him up every single day. So that's been kind of a challenge, like being a substitute teacher, dealing with classroom difficulties like that. Where I'm like, I'm not here every day, so I don't really know like what's going on, or like, is this typical, or what can I do?
Right.
And like wanting to help, but also not wanting to intrude or like place myself somewhere where I'm like that's not my place to make a decision, So that has been kind of challenging. And there's been other instances, but I think that's been like the most recent one.
Yes. And if you're in the classroom more than once, you're experiencing it recurring.
Yeah.
Just a clarifying question. When you're subbing in the preschool classroom, are there other teachers that are there consistently with you?
So every class has at least one assistant, just depending on the number of kids.
Okay.
And then there are kids that they have IEPs, so they have a one-on-one teacher assistant. So in this particular class, there's 2 TAs in there.
Okay.
And one works with this
So
child
just the main
one-on-one.
teacher was missing, and you were filling in for her? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was me and then 2 teacher assistants. So technically, like, when I'm there, I'm, like, the authority. I have...
You're acting as the classroom teacher.
So, I don't know, it feels really weird, like, having to make a decision for what are we doing with this kid when the 2 TAs are in there every day and I'm not there. And I'm like, well, what do you think? Like, I don't... Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, it's your decision, like, what we should do. And I'm like, I don't know what this kid likes or responds to or, like, does or doesn't do.
Right. Are the other teachers in the classroom helpful towards that, or did they just kind of put it on you to make the decision?
So yeah, that's like the other thing is dismissal for this particular class is so hectic because there's a lot of kids that there's another child in there that has like an IEP and she's currently they're working on an FBA for her.
Okay.
So she's like a mess at the end of the day. So they have these two kids that are like, one is crying in the corner, just refusing to do anything, and the other child is just like running circles and knocking things down and like pushing other kids. And like I would say most of the other kids in that class are pretty independent and they know the schedule. They're like, put away your stuff, put on your backpack,
ready to go.
You know, wait for like the your bus to get called so that you can go out. But yeah, so they help, but at the same time, they're like, we have this other kid that's like going crazy right now, and we can't. Like,
and if they're just individually working for that kid, they have to care for that child.
Yeah. So I have one TA that'll be like with me, trying to like help, but then at the same time, like right now, it just got colder. So all kids have mittens and gloves and hats and scarves and like jackets, and half of them don't know how to zip up their own jacket, and like if they have boots or shoes that need to be tied. So like there's 3 adults, 2 kids that need like full adult supervision during dismissal time, and 1 other adult that is like trying to manage the rest of the class and like help everyone get ready, you know, because the bus line like comes so quick.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, half the kids aren't ready, like. What do we do? So I would say at the end of the day, we're kind of like understaffed.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
That's tricky. That sounds stressful. I guess, do you ever feel torn, because you do have a background in school psych, and you're also acting as a sub. So do you feel kind of torn in that situation of whether you tend to that child while you still have to corral the whole class? Like, is that conflicting in your mind in that situation?
Yeah. So I know the school psych at the building as well, but she is the school psych at all 3 buildings. So there's days
she's split.
Yeah. So there's days she's not there. So there's days that we don't have that like extra support that we can call her in and be like, hey, can you come help? Like, figure out what we need to do for this child. But yeah, it is conflicting. Because there's times that, like, other teachers are doing something and you're like, that's just reinforcing this terrible behavior. Like, we can't do that. But I'm like, I'm only here once or twice a week. And I don't want to, like, butt in with an opinion. And, like, I am not there every day. I don't know. So it is kind of conflicting in that sense of, like, obviously, like, I'm still new to, like, graduate school and I'm still, like, in the learning process. But I would say, especially with, like, teaching assistants, they don't have a degree. They usually are, like, straight from high school they get this job. So a lot of them don't have, like, formal education, like, development or, like, behavior, things like that. So it's hard coming in. And I also think, like, my age, some of the TAs are, like, significantly older than me. And I'm like, I don't want to come in and boss around.
That's fair.
Where I'm like, I'm fairly young and fairly new still to like working in the school system, but there are things that I see that I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, I don't think that's benefiting the child, and I think it might even be creating more problems. But I don't know, like, when is it my place to say something? Or
that's a tough conflict to be having. I guess, does it make you feel anxious, like when all that's going on, you kind of have to remember which role you're playing in, or like which, if you're acting as the school psych that day, or if you're acting as a substitute temporary teacher, like.
Yeah, I think that's a hard line to. I don't know. I think I like mix them. I don't know that I can separate that. Especially like people have asked me before, like, oh, when you see a child, do you like automatically start like checking like developmentally, like how are they doing, like what's typical, what's atypical? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't think that you can turn like that piece off because it's what you're like learning to do. It's what you're being trained to do is like to analyze and scrutinize behavior and like tendencies. So I do that with like family members, like you know, cousins and stuff. And I'm like, they're meeting their milestones fairly early. Like, check, check, check. So yeah, it is kind of hard to keep that separate and be like, right now I have my substitute hat on, so I'm just like filling in the role of the teacher. Because you don't want to just ignore like things that you know to be true.
Right.
So I don't know. I would say that's difficult. I don't know. I don't really know how to balance it.
Yeah, that's tough. Have you talked to the homeroom teacher at all about it? Like the permanent classroom teacher, if she's found any techniques that work for her, or is she kind of like in the same boat of conflict there?
Maybe another part of the problem is the teacher is out on maternity leave, so there's a long-term sub in that position. So that teacher was in for like the first 3 weeks of school and then had her baby and has been gone since. So the kids have had a consistent long-term sub, minus like a few days here or there, that I've subbed in. So, yeah, the sub is like trying to catch up on like all the duties that like she has to fill in for the teacher that she didn't know about, because the teacher wasn't supposed to have her baby that soon. And she did. So sub was like ill-equipped when she first started, and is now, I think, feeling more comfortable. But at the beginning, it was just, like, so stressful. Like, she had all these, like, things that she was apparently supposed to turn in, and she was like, I didn't know any of this, blah, blah. So I think a lot of, like, her focus was, like, just trying to get a hold of, like, what does this job consist of? What am I doing? And, like, less focused on...
what are the kids doing?
So that's, like, another thing that has been... It'll be interesting. The regular teacher will come back, like, late December. So
she'll be back soon.
That'll be another loop that the kids will get thrown for, because,
that's tough on little kids, especially in preschool.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I don't think many of them will remember
the actual teacher.
It'll be a really big change for them, and then coming back, like, after break will be interesting again, too. So
I know you mentioned before, you know, the school psych in the couple buildings that preschool's in. Has she helped at all in this process, or because she's split? I know she probably has limited time to devote to every school, but has she helped with that child at all, or find anything that's worked?
Yeah, so they were working on it after it became like a consistent problem that they couldn't get him on the bus. She was coming in and making sure, even if she was at a different building, their dismissals at like 2:35, they start getting them on the bus. So she was getting there at like 2:15 for end of day routine, and just seeing like right now what is being done in the class to transition him to like dismissal, and what, like, where is the chain broken? Like, where are we falling apart? Is it like during cleanup time? Is it when... because they do, like, circle time at the end, and they just sing, like, a dismissal song. Like, is it during that? So she was kind of doing some problem solving. And I think that he, like, the following day was able to get on the bus, but it took them, like, an hour. So he actually didn't get on the bus he was supposed to. They had to call a different bus. Yeah, so they just called the bus to come back and get him. So, yeah, they did some problem solving, and I know that, like, she's been in there since, just trying to help with that and figuring out, like, what works best. If they're going to have to pull him out before end of day and just kind of get him ready, like, on his own, like, in the hall with a distraction or something. And then talking to, like, the parents, too, and figuring out, like, why does he not want to go? Like, what's the reasoning? You know?
Was he okay when his dad came and picked him up?
Yeah,
was
that
totally
better?
Fine.
Yeah, so he was, like, happy, and he was like, hi, Daddy, like...
So, like, nothing had happened before.
Yeah, so that was, like, the thing that we were, like, as soon as we saw it that first day, I was like, yeah, now he knows Dad's gonna come get him.
Yep.
And we're gonna have a problem. Because every day.
Yes.
But, yeah, I think that they got him on the bus last week, or 2 weeks ago, because they had all of Thanksgiving week off. So then, also, too, with that break, I don't know how...
He'll be acting,
This week will be interesting, too, because he'll be back after having, like, you know...
a few days off.
10 days off.
Which is a lot for a little kid.
Yeah, because you're used to being there now every day. So, Yeah, but the school psych has been involved, and I think also the director of the preschool program, she has been there, so
Okay.
they've been, like, either one of them will be in the classroom at the end of the day, because like I said, they have their hands full
Yes.
with, like, everything else going on, so they have some support, and if I'm there and, like, done, like, getting my kids out, then I'll, like, sneak over and see if they
need some extra help.
Just need someone to, like, zip up coats and, like, help put
extra
on
set of hands,
gloves. Yeah, because it's a lot to have them all put on, like, other coats and hats and gloves, and, like, half of them lose them, and then there's toys everywhere. They need help, and then, like, they don't have a bathroom either in the classroom, so, like, there's no teacher to take the kids to the bathroom, because then it leaves, like, the one teacher working with the one student, the other working with the other student, and then all the other kids are just left kind of, like, getting dressed and ready by themselves. So it's a lot in that class at the end of the day.
Definitely.
But
have you tried anything, or is there been anything that you found that helps this child at all? So far, or you've only been there a few times?
Kind of tricky in that he has language skills, but he, like, when he's, like, in this, like, meltdown mode, he, like, will not talk and will not tell you, like, what's wrong. You're like, do you want to play with this toy? Like, you will bring things to him, and he's just, like, will turn away from you and just, like, is bawling.
Okay.
So that's been kind of difficult because, like, it was hard at first to even know, like, are you unsafe? Like, are you scared? Are you, like, you just don't want to leave because you were having fun here? Or, like, you don't like the bus? Is something happening there? And he's just, like, not communicating at all. Okay. But they found now a toy, like, these toys in the classroom, like, they're called Magnetiles. I don't know. He's, like, really into them, and, like, so they'll just give him a few and sit him, like, aside.
Okay.
Is what I was talking to the school psych, and that's what she told me that they did, was just, like, sat him not at the same table as other kids, like, less overwhelmed, and set a timer for him the day after, like, all this happened. And then they were like, as soon as the timer goes off, we're going to get on the bus. And he, like, didn't respond or say anything, and then the timer went off, and they're like, okay, let's get on the bus, like, let's get ready. And he put his backpack, like, wouldn't put on his coat, but put on his backpack, and, like, let them walk him to the bus.
Okay.
So
it's been kind of helpful.
So I don't know if that's, like, gonna be an everyday solution, that, like, every day that's gonna work for him, and that's, like, what he needs is just, like, time away from everyone else, and kind of, like, to be told, like, okay, 5-minute warning, like, and, you know, whenever the timer goes off, then we're gonna be able to leave. But like I said, it'll also be interesting with this, like, big break that he just had. Yeah. If he comes back, like, in the same, like, he still is compliant after playing for 5 minutes or whatever. So.
All right. So we're wrapping up on our time, but I guess before we officially end, do you have an idea of, like, 1 or 2 things you can try in the classroom, or maybe it's, like, having a clear agenda or something for him next time you're in there that you could try to make the transition a little easier for him, I guess?
Yeah, I think probably, so because he's in the afternoon class, probably talking over lunch with the TAs and just kind of establishing, like, in previous days, like, how have you guys been handling this? Like, is he still having this problem? Or, like, what are the concerns for the day that I should know about? And, like, what have you been doing that works and what doesn't work? So that at the end of the day, it's not, like, a rush to be like, okay, 15 kids need help getting ready. That kid's running around. This kid's, like, having a meltdown over here. And I'm like, what should I do? Where should I, like, what are you guys typically doing? So we're having that discussion before, like, the time.
To go in prepared.
Yeah. So that it's, like, less chaotic for the kids and for us to kind of know, like what's our game plan? And, like, is the school psych going to be here today? And is she planning on being here, like, in the class during that dismissal time? So we kind of know, like, what's going on, who's going to be here to help, and then, like, where each person should go at the end of the day so that it's not, like, crazy hectic.
It's a little more organized than just you run there, you run here, see how it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can get everyone, like, ready and on the bus and, like, no one's waiting.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like a good plan. we'll check in next week and see how it worked. But thank you for coming in and talking today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.